Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch a video that I've been wanting to watch for like quite a while, but about 2-3 weeks, right? And I had it open the whole time, but I just never got the chance to actually watch it on stream. So we're gonna do it now. Boom. If you're here for gameplay, I'll see you tomorrow.
And that is why Warcraft 3 Reforged
is it loud enough?
So terrible. I wish I never played a Blizzard game ever. It too pains me to hear what Blizzard has become, and you shall have your wish granted. Wait, no! Ah. Funny. My mind is completely blank now. I could have sworn I was just upset about something, but strange. I don't really. Sit with me. I have a tale for you. Oh boy.
Wait, does it sound good? I mean, it's max volume. Let me open a window.
Is it about video games? Fuck you think it is. Of course we're. What do you wish to tell me, old man? Well, long ago, when video games were much simpler, there existed a company called Blizzard. Over time, Blizzard released several outstanding games that won not only awards, but the hearts of millions. With every new title, Blizzard managed to outdo themselves. They were like Tom Brady, and for many years, Blizzard commanded great respect from gamers everywhere.
Man, why did this guy not showing StarCraft? Come on, man.
So what happened? The games were great, right? And they kept making them? I don't believe you can target a single mistake and say this is where it all went wrong. Although Blizzard was well loved by many gamers, at some point something in them began to twist and contort until they were no longer the godlike beings we saw them as. There's got to be more to it than that. Tell me everything. If you insist.
So the video is again about the decline of Blizzard, not in StarCraft II, not in any specific game, but overall, because, you know, guys, Blizzard is not what it used to be. Let's just say that, okay?
The decline of Blizzard is not a story. That was weird. The decline of Blizzard is not a story about a successful business that is now failing, but rather a business that continuously fails its fans. Blizzard was one of my favorite game developers of all time. My love for this company started when I was like 5 years old, and I've given them more than a decade's worth of support. Blizzard.
Wow.
Yes, me lord.
Nintendo. Bungie. These were the companies I knew of growing up as a kid. All of them were gods in my eyes. Nothing makes me feel old quite like reminiscing on the first time I ever played a real computer game. You know, sitting there with Pajama Sam, Freddy Fish, Math Blaster. Dad bursts into the room, sits me down and says, "Son, you're almost 5 years old, but you've got a lot of manning up to do. It's time for a real game."
Hell yeah, boy.
StarCraft, and it was like, I'm Harry Potter grabbing the wand that was destined for me. I have so many vivid memories of playing the single-player campaign, custom games, loving the story, voice acting.
You called down the thunder, now reap the whirlwind.
I could go on and on and on about how awesome these games are, and hopefully I get to make a video about them someday. The storytelling was out of this world, but what really blew me away were the cinematics. That intro to Brood War. I loved that intro so much I parodied it in a horribly irrelevant video. StarCraft was so awesome beyond what Blizzard created themselves, and the map editor allowed for unique custom games that anyone could play. Around this time, my brother and I somehow got our hands on a copy of
Diablo.
And holy hell, scares me shitless. So bloody and graphic. Later I realized in therapy just how traumatized I was by the butcher. I can still hear his voice now.
Fresh meat.
Addicting, satisfying, Diablo was a terrifying introduction to RPGs. Years later, Chapow, Reign of Chaos, showed off the power of Blizzard's battle drums. Frozen Throne comes out and it's like, okay, what have I done to deserve this blessing? An RTS with heroes that level up in combat would set the foundation for what World of Warcraft would become. And you know this part of the story.
I'm Mr. T and I'm a Night Elf Mohawk. What's your game?
Oh
World
god,
of
I remember that.
Warcraft took the world by storm. Earth and fire, heed my call. Much like RuneScape, WoW became a pop culture phenomenon. I'll never forget the South Park episode where Blizzard and Comedy Central collaborated to make fun.
Man, I remember when I played WoW, like this was 2008 or 9 when I started playing WoW. And when the South Park episode came out, like I don't know exactly when it came out, but it was so cool because it's like, oh my god, the game that I'm playing isn't like one of the most popular shows, you know? And it's just a cool feeling. It's the same thing. I remember StarCraft II was in so many shows as well. I remember seeing like some random people on like Discovery Channel or National Geographic Channel wearing like a Zerg t-shirt and stuff like that. And it's always like a cool feeling, and it kind of like validates in a weird way what you're doing, because it's like, oh, that famous person is playing the same game as I am. You know what I mean? Or, oh, there's more people and it's kind of more mainstream that you think. And I remember one of my favorite TV shows is The Office. And I remember when Dwight in one of the episodes comes dressed as Kerrigan for Halloween. And it's kind of in a way like an inside joke with like you with the TV show, because many people didn't really know what he was. But everyone who played StarCraft knew that he was Kerrigan. So I really like those kinds of like interactions that are not necessarily like in your face, but if you did play the games, whether it's WoW or StarCraft or Diablo, you would know.
Fun of the game. There was so much to love about Blizzard and their community, their identity. You know, just the fun-loving spirit behind everything.
Oh, man. Poor Johnny.
Now, even though this video is going to be more on the negative side,
What?
I have a special place in my heart and memory for Blizzard as they were. The great
True.
people who were a part of it and the incredible experiences they gave me that I bought. And that's not to say they haven't done any good over the last decade. Overwatch was awesome, WoW Classic, an incredible trip down memory lane. Look, I'm not saying Blizzard as a whole is a reprehensible anti-gamer movement led by Anita Sarkeesian, whose sole purpose is to destroy all your favorite franchises and usher in the age of the Burning Legion. It's not that extreme, alright? Truth be told, I don't have much good to say about current Blizzard, and that's where I want to focus, on where they went wrong, how they destroyed their own reputation and image in my eyes, in the eyes of an old-time fan.
You know, when I met Wayman, when we started dating, which was like almost 5 years ago, she never really played Blizzard games. Like, she played Diablo, but she was never really into Blizzard games. So I told her like Blizzard is this like great company, like they like the stuff they do, the games they produce are just such quality. And literally the moment we met, it just started going downhill more and more. And every once in a while she would be like, isn't Blizzard like really, like, didn't you say they're a really amazing company for this and that? And I'm just like, ugh. Cursed.
When Blizzard tasted the cursed waters of Activision
What? He said
and merged with
cursed!
them in 2008, it wasn't a highly controversial move. At the time, COD 4 had just released 8 months earlier, Guitar Hero was the hottest fad since
We
the
didn't
Wii,
know back then,
and they
boys.
hadn't milked any of those franchises to death. Back then, Activision wasn't the same money-grubbing company we know today. Or maybe they were and they were just really good at hiding it. But none of us had the foresight to predict just how much this would affect Blizzard's identity, their culture, and their games.
You did this to our people knowingly? Gah!
Feels bad.
Our journey starts in July of 2010. Blizzard had a serious problem. StarCraft II absolutely killed it with its reveal, generating massive hype and sending shockwaves across all of Korea. It had been 12 years since Brood War. Fans could not wait. StarCraft II was coming out in 3 weeks, baby!
Man, what if they released StarCraft 3 in 2 years? That would be 12 years from StarCraft 2 release. Man, like, I swear, guys, if they announce StarCraft 3, which is probably not gonna happen, but if they announce it at any point...
However, Blizzard's official forums had become filled with vitriol and flame wars. Trolling and community toxicity was spiraling out of control, which diluted the discussions about the games themselves. Blizzard could not have this continue with the launch of StarCraft II. How do we change this toxic part of our community? One executive asked. Weight loss programs and general hygiene classes, another blurted out. I've got it!
Brain blast!
People won't talk as much shit on the internet when they can be held accountable
Oh,
for it.
I remember
So
this.
let's force everyone who uses our forums to display their real name. Take that, trolls.
Take that!
Oh yes, that's a fantastic idea. Sheer brilliance. How'd you like a raise? Why are you so smart? Suck your dick? Okay, but how do we change this toxic part of our community without spitting in their face? This decision, of course, had the exact reaction you'd expect. The forums were flooded with complaints, and one thread reached over 11,000 spitting in their face.
Is that Team Liquid?
This decision, of course, had the exact reaction you'd expect. The forums
Wait, is this Team Liquid? I feel like it is. It looks weird.
were flooded with complaints, and one thread reached over 11,000 replies. Look, I'm not saying let the trolls roam free in the forests of Buckland, but why wouldn't you just get moderators and or create stricter guidelines for using the forums? Forcing everyone to reveal personal information would not only discourage people from posting, but also punish people who did nothing wrong. Ultimately, this new change would have created more problems than it would solve, so Blizzard scrapped it. But the fact that Real ID was even considered as a possibility, let alone planned to be implemented across the board, was really just such a bizarre, out-of-touch thing to even attempt. And then there's this. I work in a charity. If they see I am a gamer, it could affect my employment prospects. Gamers have been oppressed since 2010, baby. But the outrage seemed to be only temporary. If we only knew what was in store for us down the line.
Oh, no.
Blizzard has a long list of battles in the courtroom. None more famous than Valve Corporation v. Activision Blizzard. This, of course, was over the legal rights to Defense of the Ancients, the most popular custom game.
So, guys, back in the day, IceFrog was, I've told this story before on stream, but the guy that made Dota, this is Dota inside of Warcraft 3. And the guy made the map on his own. The guy's name is IceFrog, I think. And if I remember correctly. And before he abandoned the Dota in Warcraft, he supposedly asked for support from Blizzard to have someone help him with the map, maybe even create a game and stuff like that. And Blizzard declined it. And then the guy went over to Valve and made Dota 2. So this is that dispute over that, because Dota was created in Warcraft 3, which technically is Blizzard's, property. But, like, imagine if Blizzard just supported this guy. Like, imagine if Dota 2 was in Blizzard's hands, how much revenue they would make. Although they probably would have overdone it with loot boxes and stuff, but who knows.
Game for Warcraft 3. And it was a battle for the ages. Two of the biggest and most successful PC developers duking it out? Who will come out on top? From what I understand, Valve worked with Dota developer IceFrog, who was later hired by them, and they wanted to trademark Dota as their intellectual property. Blizzard, of course, didn't want that.
I don't want it.
But Valve had already filed a trademark. Now, it's complicated, but for whatever reason, Blizzard and Valve settled out of court, with Valve keeping the rights to Dota All-Stars for commercial purposes, and Blizzard would be able to use it within their own custom games. This appears to have been a mutual agreement, but with hindsight, we see just how badly Blizzard was shafted. Nobody thought Dota would turn into the massive esports juggernaut that it is.
Another thing is Dota and Dota 2, like the heroes are the same, but you can see the graphics in Dota 2 are so changed to go away from the Warcrafty look from that Dota 1 had. Even though the heroes are the same, they don't really, I mean, they kind of resemble, but not really. Like the colors are different, and it's probably just to get away from that so there's no like issues alongside that. But yeah, imagine if that Dota 2 instead of Heroes of the Storm. Imagine, huh? Someone probably got fired over that, by the way. Whoever declined IceFrog probably got fired.
Today, but you have to wonder, how could Blizzard just let the magic lamp slip through their hands? Many fans lost faith in Blizzard's ability to retain the rights and provide the games they wanted.
Oof.
World of Warcraft has been Blizzard's main moneymaker for years, with a large, diverse, dedicated community. Throughout the Burning Legion and Wrath of the Lich King expansions, the game only grew in size. Cataclysm was a bit rocky, but it wasn't until May 2012 that Mists of Pandaria released, and a large portion of fans...
I don't know about that. I feel like, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys played WoW, but WoW started going downhill in Cataclysm. The moment Wrath ended, that's when the game slowly started going down. Mists of Pandaria was just like the terrible moment, but even before that, it was for many reasons, but they focused more on how do we make more money instead of how we make a good game. And that came with, you know, merging with Activision, probably a bunch of people getting transferred, fired, and the whole direction of all their games. And you can see at the exact moment, I mean, Draenor was also complete garbage, but you can see the exact moment when all of their games switch to how do we make more money, and that was the main focus of all the games, instead of letting the developers and people that are creative lead the gameplay.
Voiced their discontent. This was really the turning point for World of Warcraft and what turned many people off of that game. Blizzard reported that 14% of users had canceled their subscriptions, a loss of 13 million players, after a brand new expansion that's supposed to build the game up. Shortly after this, Blizzard stopped publicizing their subscription numbers,
I remember this.
Showing a steady decline might further exacerbate the decline. There were many controversial changes to WoW over the years. Among many was the Dungeon Finder, an expedited way of finding players for raids and instances. Initially, you had to rally up a group of friends or other players and all commit hours to tackling these intense dungeons. And that was a lot of fun. It created so much community interaction. Many of WoW's community-oriented features were made more accessible at the cost of player agency. World of Warcraft started to feel less like a world and more of an automated experience. Why leave the main city if you can just hop into a queue and find a raid or instance anyways? In some ways, I'm willing to give Blizzard the benefit of the doubt for WoW's decline in popularity. Keeping a game alive for that long is going to have some speed bumps. And even though many fans have disagreed with the direction Blizzard has taken, at least they finally came out with WoW Classic, and both games seem to be coexisting peacefully.
The thing about that, like, Dungeon Finder, I think, is overall bad, but in Wrath it worked fine and people loved it, and I don't remember anyone complaining about it. Because the way I saw, for those that don't know, maybe you don't play StarCraft, you could, instead of going to a dungeon, like actually flying or getting there, you could queue up for a dungeon from a city and it would find players to complete your group, and then you just get ported inside. So the thing is, you could do that, but the dungeons were difficult enough where I would rather play with people from my guild rather than random people. So I didn't really feel it was like bad in that way, because when no one was online, it gave you an extra option, like especially if you're playing late at night at 1 a.m. to get a group somewhat quickly and not spend 30 minutes trying to find it. But during the day and during peak times, I was still playing with my friends. So even though in BFA currently, like the LFR is complete trash, like you know, being able to do raids on like super easy mode, I think that's completely wrong. But I think the dungeon fighter in Wrath was not that bad, and I don't remember anyone complaining back in the day that it was bad and it was ruining the game. And yeah, so I also feel it's what Nana is saying is like, I feel like it's a weird argument to use, because Wrath of the Lich King, when the Dungeon Finder started, that was the most popular expansion of WoW. So if it was so bad, wouldn't the decline start there? It doesn't make sense. Why would the decline start later if the Dungeon Fighter was in the game for over 2 years? I completely agree that the Dungeon Fighter shouldn't be there for raids, but I don't think it was the worst thing for dungeons. Especially back in the day, I used to play DPS, which you needed 3 of them for a dungeon, 1 tank, 1 healer. And if you're DPS, you would be in the queue for so long, I would rather just make my own group. Right? And there wouldn't be, you know, I never had anyone from my friends or my guild where I'm like, hey, you want to do a dungeon? Let's make a group. And they're like, no, I'm going to do a dungeon finder. I'm going to go, you know. No one did that. So I think this is a wrong argument to use. I think WoW has had many, many issues. And I don't think it's a one specific issue. I think it's just, WoW specifically is just so many different things that they've taken a different direction from what they used to do, and they just kind of failed in that sense. But I think blaming whole game's failure on one thing is just, I mean, come on, really? I don't think that's the case.
But here's where we get into the real shit. Maybe it was just my experience, but I vividly remember the launch of Diablo 3 as being one of the single most disappointing game launches of all time, next to MCC.
What?
It was that bad. Not only had basically all of the depth been stripped away from Diablo 2, not only did it feel like a poor man's version of Diablo 2, but it was also just straight up broken. I waited years for this game, and within 4 hours of gameplay, I was like, this ain't it, Chief, and never looked back. The always online and DRM features were heavily criticized, totally unnecessary for people wanting to just play single player.
Single player is it, says Diablo 3. Mind if we force you to play online anyway, in case you change your mind? Kind of do as it happens, Diablo 3. Sorry, can't hear you over the sound of all my money!
The art direction was criticized, it didn't feel hellish. Gameplay story was awful, excessive amounts of useless gear with 1% of that shit being actually usable. Everything was a bust, it just didn't feel like Diablo.
The sanctity of this place has been fouled.
Diablo 3 was the subject of numerous complaints by fair trade organizations across the world. In France alone, a consumer group reported that there were 1,500 complaints in 4 days. The organization, forgive me, K-Choisier, asked Blizzard to, and this is my translation, tell us when the fuck the game is going to be playable. Be straight up, okay? Be a fucking homie. Blizzard responded by saying, there's a sticker on the box that says, internet connection required.
Fuck you!
The Fair Trade Commission alleged that Blizzard had violated consumer rights laws in South Korea, Hundreds of gamers from there demanded refunds, which Blizzard refused to grant until a month later. In Germany, the Federation of Consumer Organizations threatened legal action.
I had no
against
idea about
Blizzard
any of this
for their
because
lack of transparency with the DRM, consumers' inability to resell the game, and then there was the auction house, a feature Blizzard implemented to make everyone's gaming experience much better, right?
Wrong!
If the gameplay wasn't shallow enough, this fucking atrocity of a feature made it so players could literally put in real money to buy the best gear. This undercut.
Oh god, I played Diablo. I did a Diablo 3 playthrough once. So I have no idea about this Diablo drama, but buying gear for real money?
The entire point of playing Diablo 3. The quest for gear comes from playing the game, killing monsters, doing quests. That's what makes it fulfilling, not by entering your credit card information. It was one of the earlier and more egregious forms of microtransactions, as Blizzard took a cut of all the profits. It took them 2 years to realize how
they were literally selling the items from the game, except it's not really selling the items from the game because the players are selling it.
damaging the auction house
Kinda is.
and would shut it down completely in March of 2014. At this point, we all started to worry and wonder, how could Blizzard continue to get into legal trouble? How could this company with a stainless track record bungle it so badly with Diablo 3? How could they betray us?
We didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves.
So, I'll talk about the Diablo like 1 and 2 and then Diablo 3 graphics. You saw in the picture for a moment there, Diablo looks scary in the first two, or whichever one it was showing. I don't know much about Diablo games, but Diablo 3 looked like a lot more cartoonish, and it just looked like just not scary, right? And I think this is not only for Blizzard, but just major companies in general are moving more towards cartoonish and like pleasant to see instead of like demonic and like scary stuff. And I don't mean like horror games. Obviously horror games exist, but just like weird kind of satanic looking things. Which is why, because I attended the BlizzCon last year, and I was very surprised to see the amount of gore that the Diablo 4 trailer had. Now, I don't know how exactly that translates into the game, but if you guys saw Diablo 4 trailer, it's very like bruh, right? But in a good way. I remember sitting at BlizzCon watching it, and everyone was shocked. Everyone was like, holy shit, is this Blizzard's game? Like, they went ham, right, on the trailer, and it looks like messed up, and everyone's like, oh my god, that was so cool, like what the hell. Nobody expected it because Blizzard's been going in the cartoonish direction for a while now. You know, like, oh, no blood, no nothing. And that's kind of what happened with older games. I don't feel like that just happened with Diablo, but just in general. But my personal theory, by the way, is, or personal opinion, is that Blizzard didn't necessarily decline like because of LFR or because of auction house only. They declined because all their games were not made to be played and to be experienced. They were made for the sole purpose of making money. Okay? When they would implement a feature, it wouldn't be like, oh, how are players going to like that? It was, in my opinion, how can we make money out of that? If we add this thing, right, the auction house for Diablo, they didn't give a shit about players. They wanted to make the money out of the players selling stuff, right? It wasn't added for the benefit of the game or for the health of the game. It was made to make money. Same with WoW mounts. So you couldn't buy mounts before in WoW in earlier expansions, but the longer the expansions went, they started selling more and more mounts and garbage pets in game that would cost like 20 euros per pet or 25 euros per pet. And again, do you think anyone said like, oh yeah, people gonna love this, like this is great for the game? No, it's not. It's terrible for the game, but it brought money, which again was the main point. And it's not like Blizzard doesn't know or didn't know that people hated this. They did know everyone hated it. Every time WoW announces a new mount or a new pet on their YouTube channel as a store only, people go berserk and people leave negative comments, people mass dislike the videos. Blizzard still doesn't care. They make money out of it because there's enough people that are buying it. So if this is like the neutral point, this is positive, this is negative, their negative is outweighed by how much money they make from it. So they don't care. That's just how it is. And I don't think this is just the issue with Activision Blizzard. I think this is how every gaming company is these days. They make a game and they say they have two decisions. And one decision is making them, let's say, $1 million a day. And the other decision is making them $1.1 million a day. But it's way worse for gameplay. I can guarantee you that 95% of the companies these days are going to pick the option number 2. Even though it ruins the gameplay from the players completely, they're going to pick it because it earns more money. And that's how it works. Nothing is made in current gaming, in the most popular games, unless it, in some way, it will provide them revenue. 100K a day is a lot of money. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? They will pick money over gameplay at any time. And that's how Activision Blizzard games have been recently, with loot boxes, with WoW pets, with whatever else. And they know that people are going to keep playing, right? Like if you're, I play WoW Classic currently, and I used to play WoW. If you play WoW and you've been playing it for 15 years, are you really going to quit because Blizzard puts in another mount for money in game? You won't, and they know that. They know that they're not going to lose revenue from you by unsubscribing, so they just put in more mounts because it makes them money. And that's just how it is. There's no reason for them to stop because they make more money. And it's just how it is.
As WoW continued to lose subscribers, fans took it upon themselves to recreate the WoW game they wanted. Many private servers popped up offering different iterations of WoW that were no longer playable. Do you think when Burning Legion came out that it was the best? Here's your server. Wrath of the Lich King? Here's your server. Vanilla? Here's your server. Nostalrius. It wasn't legal, but it showed a surprise.
Not sure that's fair. Gameplay's still a factor. I disagree. I think BFA, the way that it is, the whole system of RNG and having to grind the same stuff over and over and have a gambling system of which stats you get on items, that kind of system is made not for the good gameplay. It's made so you're constantly logged in and everyday farming, aka if you miss out a week, you're behind on content, you're behind on gear. The whole system is made so you're constantly farming and constantly trying to keep up. You're not farming for better gear in WoW, in BFA. You're farming to keep up. And that's an issue. That's a big problem. And then you have all these kind of side systems that are just made to keep you in the game, to just keep you grinding. And at that point, I played BFA. I played for the first season and a half. I never felt like, ooh, I'm going to log in, I'm going to do a couple of whatever dungeons, I'm going to do a daily. I always felt I needed to do them. And if I don't do them, and if I miss certain amounts, and I'm talking about like, obviously you can go super casual, but if you want to be somewhat, into it, you have to constantly play, constantly farm, and you're just keeping up. And I felt like those were my chores. Like I log in WoW and instead of playing the game, I'm doing my chores for the day. And then when I'm done, I don't really feel like playing WoW anymore. That's the issue.
Demand for that classic vanilla experience. At its height, Nostalrius had 800,000 registered accounts. Naturally, Having that many people flock to a service that you don't operate is bad for business, and in this case,
Copyright infringement.
the solution? Shut it down, boys. They pulled out their warhammer, sent a cease and desist order, and Nostalrius was shut down. But that only seemed to further agitate the already upset fan base. A petition popped up begging Blizzard to consider a vanilla version of WoW. It received over 280,000 signatures. They couldn't deny the facts anymore. A lot of people didn't like WoW anymore, and they wanted the old version. And naturally, Blizzard was upset because they felt fans weren't appreciating or understanding the work they were putting in.
Remember that one bug that really pissed you off that we fixed like 2 years ago? Still there in the past.
While it was within their rights to terminate the server, for 3.5 years, no alternative was offered by Blizzard. And this was made all the more worse when J. Allen Brack, the new
You
CEO,
think you do,
answered
but
this
you don't.
question.
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
Man, this was so cringe. Like, this was legit so cringe, and they still... This is still a meme to this day.
No. And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
Here's a lesson in healthy business practices.
You think
So if you missed it, I'm gonna pause
you
here.
do, but you don't.
World of Warcraft Classic more than doubled the game subscriber count. And that guy was in charge of WoW at that time, I think, and now he's CEO. You think you do, but you do.
Here's a lesson in healthy business practices. Don't tell your consumers what they don't want. Show them why they want what you're working on. Better yet, listen to what your fans are asking for and meet that demand. There's no point in showing this kind of contempt towards your audience unless your goal is to purposely damage your own reputation and goodwill. And then J. Allen Brack started talking shit about Classic WoW, how their expansions were so orgasmically good.
Remember when you had to like spam cities and say need a tank, need a tank, need a tank during the Burning Crusade days? You don't remember that because now you just push a button that says go to the dungeon.
I love how he used comparison of Burning Crusade, which is after vanilla, but Burning Crusade and Wrath had way more subs than current WoW has, not including WoW Classic. Like, I don't understand that way of thinking. Like, the numbers in the game's expansions that he is making fun of were way more successful than the current WoWs. So how can you say... Like, I don't... Where does that come from? Like, you think you do, but you don't? Or like, oh, back in the day, you used to, like, spam. Yeah, and guess what? You had 5 times more subs. And you actually were a good game, you know?
You would be a fool to want the older, obsolete, inferior version of WoW. Don't fucking patronize me. With the shutdown, the Nostalrius team went to Blizzard's HQ and gave an 80-page essay on the development of the server. It looked and sounded like Blizzard was going to work with some of the Nostalrius devs to create WoW Classic. That would have been awesome. Bred some goodwill with the community, and these developers would make great representatives of that community. It would inspire faith in the company, but they never actually worked with them, and it really shows the sinful pride of Blizzard. For a long time, they just couldn't accept the fact that fans didn't like the newer expansions and how WoW was changing, but they were the ones out of touch, not the community.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have
BlizzCon is the annual convention held by Blizzard. It's a massive, exciting
Do you guys not
event
have
that
phones?
showcases and promotes all their major franchises. Celebrities make appearances, famous bands close out the show. It's just epic.
Who's this guy? This is a dwarf. And you know what? I prefer.
Dude, I thought they were gonna play music. Jesus Christ, I got scared for a moment.
A little person.
What is the phone?
Okay.
Not many developers have an entire convention at their disposal, and it's just Blizzard's way of showcasing their power. getting fans hyped to consume product. But in 2018, BlizzCon became the opposite of that. Hear ye, fans of Diablo. Behold, the new experience you've been waiting for. Diablo for Immortal.
So we knew.
Like, this thing, I'm sorry. Like, I am not a game developer. I'm not a CEO of a huge gaming company. But guys, let's just... Like, I've talked about this before, but let's just think about this for a second. These kinds of decisions, right? These kinds of announcements, they don't go through one person. Like, you know, Bob doesn't come and he says, hey boss, I'm gonna announce Diablo Immortal in front of the whole stage, and, you know, they're gonna love it. This goes through meetings and meetings and meetings with people and how they're gonna announce it and practice the announcement. How did... No one at any point said, this idea is stupid. This is a bad idea. Like, how did this happen? And I don't mean the comment, don't you guys have phones? That was in the moment, like the guy messed up. But there was rumors that Diablo was being made. There were rumors. And everyone expected Diablo 4. Everyone. Like, I remember I wasn't at this BlizzCon, I was watching it from home. And I remember everyone on forums was like, oh my god, like, they're gonna announce a game. Because usually, before each BlizzCon, you kind of know what they're gonna announce, and if there's a new game, there's always some rumors, right? And everyone was expecting Diablo 4. Every single person. And the guy comes out with a Diablo shirt, and the Diablo thing pops up, and everyone's freaking out. How in the right mind did you think that announcing a shit mobile game is going to be like, whoa, oh my god, phone? Like, how? You're supposed to be a big company. How does this decision gets made so poorly? You know what the worst part is? This could have been salvaged so easily. This could have been fixed so easily. Well, not fixed, but done better. If they came out on the stage and said, guys, get fucking hyped, okay? Boom, trailer. And they showed Diablo 4 trailer, right? And they're like, Diablo 4 is coming, guys. It's gonna be whatever. The game's focused on that. That's all we can tell you, but Diablo 4 is coming. And then they said, but until then, we're gonna show you a little bit of a story, because I know the Diablo Immortal story is like lore in between one of the games, and they just said, but until then, we got a little project on the side, and we're gonna release Diablo Immortal, and you can play Diablo Immortal till Diablo 4 comes out, you know, get a little bit of lore, get back into Diablo. Everyone would love that shit. You would get standing ovation for that. If they did that, people would be so hyped for Diablo 4, and they would... I know players that are huge fans of Diablo. They would have been like, oh shit, I'm going to install Diablo Immortal right now, and I'm going to play it, and, you know, I'm just going to play it through to see what the lore is while waiting for Diablo 4. No one in their right mind would hate that. They weren't working on Diablo 4. Games are made a long time before they get announced, okay? Like, they don't make games for this year, for next year. They are known much more in advance because the developers need to be moved, the people need to be hired, the teams need to be assembled, the lore needs to be made. The game doesn't get made from now till next year. They knew about Diablo 4. Or at least they knew there was a chance of them making it. And if there was a chance of them making it, they couldn't have, in their right mind, thought that Diablo Immortal was going to be it. So, if they did that, everyone would have loved it, there would be no issues, but instead, they do this.
We want to use mobile devices as the platform for a new Diablo game. Because nothing brings a family together like slaying demons.
You want to explain yourself? What are you doing?
People were confused. And through a series of
Do you hear
hilarious
silence?
questions in the faces of the developers, the situation started to get out of hand.
So how long has Diablo Immortal been in development, and how is it affecting other Diablo projects?
You may or may not have heard.
I can't imagine the embarrassment of having the crowd of
Here it
people at
comes.
your own convention turn against you. But it should showcase just how out of touch you are with them.
In particular, the majority of the games are PC oriented with Blizzard. Are
Don't
similar
say
to
it.
the other mobile games.
Don't say it.
Why bring it to mobile? Are you trying to reach a new audience of players?
Don't say it.
Remember about BlizzCon 2018 is the charcoal remains of the PR department.
Hey,
No.
is this an out of season April Fool's joke?
No. Blizzard said they were surprised by the negative response.
What?
Now, either they're lying or they are once again supremely and genuinely out of touch with their community.
Am I?
I don't think they were. I don't think they were not caring. I don't think they knew. You can see it in the Diablo Immortal's developers. You can see it in their face that they're genuinely confused. Like you could see, if you watch that live and if you watch that Q&A, you could see every question. They're just like, what? People are not loving this? Like they're genuinely confused. Like they don't. I feel like they were put in a room with a negative audience and they're just like what do we do? Like they were not ready for this. Especially when the guy comes out announcing Diablo Immortal, you can see he's hyped. And then his face goes like, wait, why is there silence? Like what's going on? Like they genuinely had no clue, which is just like mind-blowing to me. He's gonna say it, by the way.
So out of touch? No.
Blizzard, your fan base is mostly a PC gamer demographic. Those are the people who buy tickets to BlizzCon. If you want to make a phone game, make a phone game. But don't expect your fans to give a shit.
True.
Or not bombard you with questions like,
is there any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this strictly mobile forever?
You get nothing!
Blizzard's ideals and principles were shelved in favor of tapping into the mobile gaming market. If you didn't think they were selling out with the auction house, you sure did now.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys have phones, right? You can play your tablet too.
Hey, that really sucked!
I love how this is still an ongoing meme. Like, why would you say that? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what that guy did on development or on public speaking, but I feel like he just got cornered. He didn't know what to say, and he just said it jokingly. But in that situation, that was like the worst thing he could have said. Actually, the worst thing. Man, that was so cringe. That was so bad. And you know what? That was 2018. 2019, I went to BlizzCon, and you know what was really funny? So we enter BlizzCon, right? And I'm walking there, and I'm checking out stuff, and I was like, wait, where's Diablo Immortal stage? Because at BlizzCon, each game has their own stage or section or whatever, and I couldn't find Diablo Immortal. Because I was genuinely curious what's going to happen with it, because I haven't heard anything about it. So Diablo Immortal had this like small ass booth where like legit 3 people can fit in, and it was like pushed to the corner, like on the side. You had to search for it in order to get to it. Like, I was finding the most random shit before I actually found Diablo Immortal booth. It was so funny because they were probably like cut it, like just put it somewhere in the corner and don't discuss it. Diablo Immortal was not brought up at BlizzCon at all. There was no point where any of the developers or promotion, nothing. You know the flyers, maybe you guys have seen them on BlizzCon videos where there's like a big poster and it shows like StarCraft, whatever, Overwatch, WoW, Warcraft. Diablo Immortal was not there. Like, they completely just pushed it to the side and ignored it. Banners, yeah, that's right. Did it even launch since then? I have no idea. Like, that's the thing. Has anyone heard anything about it? Blizzard probably saw how negative everything was. They just like don't promote it, don't do anything. I don't even know if it's still a thing.
Video game development is notorious for how hellish it can be. An extremely competitive market filled with stressful deadlines, long hours, hectic work weeks, and worst of all, uncertainty of consistent employment. When a game is finished and out the door, many employees have to wonder if they too will be sent out.
True.
Well, Blizzard answered that question by laying off 800 employees in February of 2019. 800 people with families and lives and an income they need, benefits, insurance, gone. Well, employees, this has been real educational and all, but now it's time to part with that old Activision Blizzard saying.
Get the fuck out of my building!
During this time, Activision Blizzard reported $7.5 billion in sales, $1.8 billion in pure profit. Crack the goddamn champagne bottles, what an accomplishment! You guys remember the Wii U? Yeah, it was pretty gross and flopping super hard back in 2014. Nintendo was not looking good, and at that point the boss, Satoru Iwata, took a pay cut to keep his employees employed. That was at a time when Nintendo saw a 30% decrease in profits. People look to big companies for guidance. We want to feel good about where our money is going. Is it going to Bobby Kotick's wallet? Or is it going to the people down and dirty on the front lines who sometimes work 70 plus hours a week? Nintendo made a statement about the importance of their employees. And Blizzard did the same. They were just radically opposite statements. I get that a company may take on more workers than they need over time, and Activision Blizzard might not have been able to find a place for these 800 lost souls. But does that make it any less disheartening for a company to be celebrating its greatest success without sharing that with some of the people who made that happen?
In June 2003, the leaders of the Diablo project left Blizzard North. Feeling like they weren't involved with the big decisions anymore, and unable to guarantee their own employees' compensations and futures, the Blizzard North executives protested. They even went so far as to tender their resignations unless they were heard. Unfortunately, those resignations were accepted.
Yikes.
In 2019, perceptions around Blizzard had completely changed. And in October of 2019, a professional Hearthstone player, the martyr blitzchung, made a political statement in support of the Hong Kong protests while on a live stream.
Nuclear launch detected.
This was bad.
Nuclear launch detected.
As Americans, we are naturally sympathetic to those who have had their
Yikes.
freedom stripped away unfairly.
They say a man never really knows himself until he's...
This guy's a definite fan of StarCraft, by the way, because he has so many references from StarCraft, like throughout the video for other cutscenes. And earlier when he was showing his games, StarCraft's in the middle. And when you order your games or your things, you usually put your favorite thing in the middle. I might be wrong on this, but I feel like he is probably the StarCraft and Diablo fan mainly. Or at least the most.
Freedom's been taken away.
Such as the undisputed case in China. Now, I'm not trying to grandstand, but China isn't exactly the paragon of human rights. Yet Blizzard's monetary ties to China, like many other US companies, they have to tiptoe around China's strict guidelines to release their products in their country. They are very picky and very profitable.
China's actually a free and loving country.
I'm out.
Not taking any chances, Blizzard banned his ass. Fuck those newcasters. No payment. You're gone. You're banned. Hope you learn your lesson. Speaking out about human rights issues. On our platform. This is not a political platform, except it is. When it's convenient for us. Now, I did a whole video on this subject. Please check that out if you are at all interested. I summarize it a lot more in depth, so I'll be brief. On its own, it's a fucked up decision. But with the George Floyd protests, it also shows the real double standard and hypocrisy. You banned blitzchung, docked his pay, fired the casters involved, all because he supported a protest in Hong Kong. And you have the gall to post this on Twitter, as if your company represents this.
Yeah. So see, that's a problem. When you say you don't do a thing, but then you do it whenever it suits you, is I feel like much worse than just doing the wrong thing. You're kind of like, you double down on your decision, but then you go the opposite side because it just suits you. That's a big yikes. That is a big yikes.
Statement wholeheartedly. Racism has no place in our society or any society, except Hong Kong and China. Those societies are cool. Nothing's wrong with them. All is well consumed product. Even if you weren't just another company morally grandstanding on these protests and this issue while it's current, it's blatantly hypocritical. Outrage was so astronomical at Blizzard that the United States Congress asked them to reduce the punishment. Motherfucking Congress got involved. You fucked up so badly. Boycotts were gaining traction. Blizzard had yet another PR nightmare on their hands.
Base is under attack.
Our town is under siege.
We're being attacked. We are under attack.
They're destroying our city.
The town is under attack.
Our town is under attack.
Now, they eventually reduced the punishment, but never actually directly addressed the criticism. Only vaguely stated that
we will do better going forward.
J. Allen Brack deserves a lot of flack for how he handled this situation. You're supposed to be a leader. And at this point, Blizzard employees were probably feeling,
Every decision you've made led us from bad to worse.
Man, like, I mean, I've talked about this on my stream, so I'm not gonna go into details, but they fucked up, right? But then, why would you go the opposite way, right? Like, you do one thing, and then you do the other thing when it suits you. That's just like, ugh. I don't know. Like, again, these are some of the decisions where I'm just like, who makes these, right? Like, sometimes I genuinely wonder, right? Was it one guy that was like, that saw that and was like, pop, ban, get him out of the tournament? Or was that a decision made by 10, 15, 20 people discussing it? Because I personally don't know what's worse, right? Is it worse that 20 people discuss this? Or that you gave one guy so much power that he can fuck up your company's reputation really badly? And it's just like, you know, if it was one guy messing it up, it's like, okay, one guy messed it up. But if it was a decision of 20 employees that are higher ups, right, making this decision, how do you not think it through? You know, like, how do you not be like, oh, maybe this is gonna go real poorly? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems so crazy to me.
Finally, we arrived to present day. Warcraft III Reforged.
Oh
a
god,
dream
this is
come true for me. You have no idea.
Man, this shit got released so long ago and it still has no ladder. Like, Warcraft 3 refunded. You know, I actually bought Warcraft 3 Reforged. I pre-ordered. I'm a dumbass, right? I pre-ordered and I wanted to play it. And I couldn't play Reforged for the first 2 days. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I wasn't home or something. And then when I saw the amount of shit that piled onto this game, I literally, no joke, never logged in. I never installed it, and I've never logged in. And I should have refunded, but I was too lazy.
Idea how badly I wanted to see the custom games and multiplayer revived and to get hyped about it as if Warcraft 3 was a brand new game.
Yeah, I love this.
This is Blizzard's latest and most damning fuck up of all. With a chance to revitalize one of the most important video games of all time.
Such an opportunity
with a chance
missed.
to revive the community, get new gamers into it, into RTS games, a genre that has been dying. Blizzard left the Warcraft 3 community in a worse place than if they had never touched it.
You know, I wanna mention something. I keep hearing this RTS genre is a genre that's dying. And while that is true, it's not dying for the right reasons. It's not dying because no one cares about RTS. It's dying because, this is a super hot take, but not really. It's dying because you can't monetize it. The only reason why these big gaming companies are not making RTS games is because how do you make money in it, right? In Fortnite, you can make skins and kids love that shit, right? In whatever game there is now, skins, loot boxes. How do you make money from an RTS games? That's, in my opinion, the reason why no one's making them. I don't think there's no desire for RTS games. I don't think that's true at all. I think if StarCraft 3 came out, right? If StarCraft 3 came out, it would easily be top Twitch for a very long time if handled properly by Blizzard forming tournaments and stuff. Easily it would be top esports again. But the fact is, if you make StarCraft 3, how do you make money from it? Right? You need to invest a lot of, obviously, development and whatever else. But long term, in 10 years, how is this going to triple or quadruple your money that you've done? And that's the point. That's the problem. You can't, right? Yes, there are some skins in StarCraft, and people love buying them because we kind of wanted them for a long time. But Fortnite has some skins that are insanely overpriced. League of Legends as well, right? Some skins cost like 30 euros for one stupid skin, and there's hundreds of them, right? Like, imagine paying 30 euros in StarCraft so that your Marine looks a bit different. If that existed, they would make more RTS games. But... And also, RTS games are, in general, harder to play and harder to pick up. I don't think anyone here can argue that Counter-Strike or Fortnite is harder to pick up than StarCraft 2. I mean, it's very basic, right? You pick up weapons or you buy weapons and you shoot, and that's it. And, you know, with today's consumer base, Zoomers, they just want fast content. Like, whether it's videos or games, they just want fast content. They want 5-minute games, 10-minute games. Like, no, you know, they just want to go. There's no time. And they want shiny and bright and achievements and loot boxes. Like, that's just the meta right now in the gaming industry. And RTS doesn't fit in any of those things, right? You gotta use your brain. I'm not saying you don't need to use your brain in Counter-Strike or Fortnite or League. But, you know, you gotta actually invest your time into RTS games and think about things. And there's no, you know, you don't make a unit in StarCraft 2 and it's like, wow, you made a unit, achievement, open the loot box for a chance for your Marine to have a different rifle. You know? Wow, you played 5 games, achievement. Wow, you won a first game, achievement. Wow, you logged into the game, achievement. Wow, you changed your mouse settings, achievement. Like, it's just so cringe when I see these games. Like, everything's an achievement. Like, it's so trivial at this point. Like, achievements in most new games are just so stupid. Like, it's not an achievement. Like, bro, there's literal achievements, play an online game. Like...
How can a company actually deteriorate a product's value 18 years later? That's a topic for your business class. especially since the game still had an active community, and you tore out features and content that they've enjoyed for years. The way Warcraft 3 launched is beyond belief, but illustrates just how far detached Blizzard has become from not only their past, but their fans.
We didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves.
No shit.
I speculate it was released in the state it was because of shareholder pressure, something that ex-members of Blizzard have said is tampering the way the company used to operate. Fans were beyond upset, and Warcraft 3 Reforged rightfully takes the crown for lowest review score on Metacritic. There was even a parody website called Warcraft 3 Refunded that just made fun of all the bullshit Blizzard had peddled about this game. I won't go into every detail, I'll link some videos that do if you're interested, but here are the main points. 1. Blatantly misleading marketing led people to believe this classic title would have all its cutscenes remastered and remade. What we got was not that. In fact, Homeboy here actually showcases how the cinematography is less dynamic and interesting than the 2002 version.
I'll hunt you to the ends of the earth if I have to. Do you hear me? To the ends of the earth!
It is there that your true destiny will unfold.
I'll hunt you to the ends of the earth if I have to. Do you hear me? To the ends of the earth!
It's like they didn't even try. 2. Tons of core features of the game from 2002-2003 were not re-implemented. Ranked ladders gone. If you play multiplayer, prepare to get ass blasted because there is no ranking system at all. 3. Art direction was butchered. Ew. Gross. What is that? Oh, sick. Original Warcraft 3 does look extremely dated, but everything is way more colorful and unique, recognizable. 4. Classic Warcraft 3 and even StarCraft 1 had a system implemented to prevent people from being dropped from matches. If your connection was interrupted or a little shaky at times, you get like a 45-second countdown timer, and if your internet was good then, the match would continue. Reforged does not have this.
Being pulled early on, Lawlighter was trying to go for a greedy Ancient of Warcraft, and if this is cancelled, oh damn, that was not a bad BM leaving of the game. This was a disconnect once again. I am almost 100% sure. Yeah, Lawlighter would never do this.
But he has enough mana. I don't need a blood mage. I don't need you. You're benched. Once this, it looks like another drop.
If your internet connection isn't perfect, you will be dropped from matches instantly. This happens even in campaign missions, where you get an automatic mission failed screen.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad.
That's big brain.
Warcraft 3 Reforged represents Blizzard's complete lack of empathy or care for their older games, and the fans who still play them. They just pissed on their own legacy, and these problems barely scratch the surface. And now Blizzard is forced to take their sweet time fixing things that never needed to be fixed. In the pursuit of money and who knows what else, Blizzard has lost their identity, being one of the core titans of the industry. And seeing them fall so far, fall lower than the likes of Bungie, is just sad, man. The franchises they used to be known and loved for are not what they once were. Where they used to be dedicated towards the fans, now they are dedicated to the shareholders. It's no longer about what do the fans want, but rather what can we get away with. Blizzard's sins are numerous, attempting to disclose private information of their users to solve an issue that could have been fixed by better moderation, introducing microtransactions that undercut the core design and fun factor of a game people waited 12 years for, allowing a rival company to steal the commercial rights to one of the most popular games of all time, changing WoW into something fans didn't want, failing to provide fans with the experience they had been begging for until an independent group rose up to challenge Blizzard, completely misreading their audience by building up hype at their convention for a game their fan base has never expressed interest in, Countless tone-deaf, out-of-touch responses to valid criticism, tossing out 800 employees like yesterday's trash during their most financially successful year, punishing people who dare speak on important political and social issues, taking a stand with China, letting internal strife and protests run rampant within the company, tarnishing their own legacy with a careless disregard for the state of Warcraft III Reforged. These are just the monumental blunders, the ones that have affected me the most. If you want to see current sentiment towards Blizzard, go to their YouTube channel, where the like-dislike ratio is up in the air and most videos have comments disabled. And if you take into consideration that Blizzard said they were going dark on Overwatch 2 information, couple that with the Diablo 4 reveal, and it just seems like a desperate attempt to shift players' focus from what a shithead company they've been to, whoa, look at these new titles. But that's just my theory. Blizzard has proven time and time again where their morals lie, and it's not with the consumers anymore. So now do you see the decline of Blizzard? I do, but what, my son? What happens now? Will Blizzard ever redeem themselves? Will I ever be excited for another title? That is for them to decide. We can only wait. But if I were you, Actman, I would let go of hope. Let go before it leads you astray, like it did to me.
Ah, man.
Blizzard. More than a decade.
Like, guys, I mean, what can I say? Yeah. One thing I do want to say, by the way, is there is a lot of things going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about, and I do agree that Activision Blizzard is just fucking downhill, right, from about 8 years ago. But one thing I want to make sure people realize is the developers that make games are, at least the ones that I've met from Blizzard, are very passionate about games. Whatever game they're working on, I've met them, and they're very passionate about games. But the decisions that are being made in Blizzard, but in other companies, is if a company or a game, let's say Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, Hearthstone, if developers go to the shareholders or whoever is in charge of, giving out money for projects, and they say, hey, we want to make this cool thing. And I know this was a fact for StarCraft II. They wanted to do a lot of things in 2020. But they go and they ask for the support in terms of, we need a team for this, or we need money. And then the shareholders say, okay, but how much money will that make? If the answer is not more than they will spend, that's a no. That's just a no. It's not happening. Unless it's a necessity, anything extra, if it's not making money, will not be made. And that's how decisions are made in Blizzard and in other gaming companies. And this is not fault of the developers. That's business 101, yeah. But that's not how Blizzard used to be. That's the main point of this video. That's what Blizzard did not used to be, but now is. They became that company. And to be honest, most companies in the world, not just gaming, but any companies, that's how they make decisions, right? they say, okay, how much money can this make us? Or how much attention can we get? How much of a following can we get with that decision? And I feel like back in the day, Blizzard used to be a company that was different than that. They were better than that, right? I'm not saying that the company should waste money to do whatever, right? They obviously need to make money. They are a business. But I feel like there's a line, and once you cross that line, you're just shitting all over your games. But the people that are shitting all over their games are people who don't play those games. You think some boomer that's 80 years old and has stocks in Activision Blizzard, you think they give a shit about what happens to StarCraft or Overwatch or Heroes of the Storm? You think when they shut down Heroes of the Storm, some like boomer lost, his sleep? Of course not. You didn't give a shit. It's the same thing when they fired the 800 people. They saw it as a waste of money. That's it. That's all there is to it. At the end of the day, it's all about money. They don't care about much else. And you heard they made how much profit? $1.5 billion? And they still decided, well, we want more money. So they fired 800 people because maybe they weren't necessary, right? But that's the way it goes, right? And I always see whenever, because I play a couple of different Blizzard games, and I always see this like, sometimes the blame is shifted to the development team, which, trust me, they have almost no say in what happens. Unless it's free, unless they can make it for free, any big decision needs to be money approved, aka how much money is that going to make us? And for games like StarCraft, where StarCraft is not really making Blizzard money, right? They're not sitting there and they're like, whoa, StarCraft made us $15 million this year. That's not happening, right? And the games that are making the money, they are the ones that are getting pushed, and they're the ones that are getting developed. But they're also getting pushed in the way of store mounts. Store, buy in-game items, because that brings the most money. And it sucks, right? But it is what it is. I do think that maybe Diablo 4 is return of Blizzard. Probably not. Most likely not. But whether people like it or not, and I know a lot of people are disliking or even hating Blizzard right now, but whatever your feeling is about them, or even mine, to the people in charge, they don't care. Because right now, they're making more money than ever. So from their point of view, they're doing the right thing. They're making more money. So why would they make decisions they made 8 years ago when clearly the income has increased over the years? And clearly it works. You can hate Blizzard and still understand it's just company decisions? Sure. You can. But, I see this in Classic WoW, as well as BFA WoW, as well as StarCraft, because those are the three communities I visit the most. And I see this quite often, like, oh, why are developers not doing this? Or in WoW Classic, why are developers not making servers that cost more money? Or servers that can support more people in the zone? You know why? Because more servers, more stable servers, requires more money. Right? And if you're going to quit WoW over that, the way they see it, you're probably going to quit anyway. So why would they invest more money to keep the same fan base happy and more satisfied? It doesn't bring them more money. And servers are expensive. And just like I am, just like many of the WoW Classic players, they're going to keep playing anyway. So why would they fix it? In their eyes, there's nothing to fix. That's the truth. So it sucks, but it is what it is, and there's no other options. Warcraft 3 can still be redeemed? No. The hype's dead. They had a lot of potential with Warcraft 3. The hype's completely dead. And I personally know, even if they fix everything, I don't really care to play it anymore. But yeah, I really enjoyed this video. I thought it was a well-made video. Brought a lot of good points. Some wrong, like in my opinion, wrong, like the WoW falling apart in because of looking for dungeon thing. I think it was more things than that, but overall I thought it was a good video, and I liked that it touched upon like all the games and what happened in each game. But I'm a little surprised that it said nothing about Overwatch. Or Heroes, for that matter. But yeah. Yeah. If you guys are watching this on the YouTubes, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. If you guys are watching this on Twitch, let me know what you think right now. Let's keep going.